हरे कृष्णा। धन्यवाद। प्रणाम नंद कुमार प्रभु, सादर प्रणाम आपको।
हरे कृष्णा हरे
हरे
कृष्णा।
कृष्णा प्रभु जी, आपके दर्शन हो गए आज। वृंदावन ब्रजवासियों के दर्शन हो गए। हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू फॉर
हरे
ज्वाइनिंग। हरे कृष्णा डियर डिवोटीज, धन्यवाद प्रणाम। जय श्री प्रभुपाद। So we'll start with our Mangalacharan, Vaishnava Bhajan and then reading. Thank you and Hari Bol to both Pawan Prabhu and Nandakumar Prabhuji for leading the chanting this morning. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are continuing with our prayer from Gitavali by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, glorifying the Shikshashtakam by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, Meenu Mataji, you want to try today? Yeah, mute if you are speaking. Meenu Mataji, you want to try singing? Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, no, you go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. But Amresh Prabhu, you want to go? You want to do the service of singing?
Um, sure. Okay.
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhu. Yeah.
पीतवरन कली पावन गौर पीतवरन कली पावन गौर गाओ ये ऐछन भाव विभोर गाओ ये ऐछन भाव विभोर चित्त दर्पण परि मार्जनकारी कृष्ण कीर्तन जय चित्त बिहारी एला भवदाव निर्वपन वृत्ति कृष्ण कीर्तन जय क्लेश निवर्ति श्रिया मुकुमुद विधु ज्योत्स्ना प्रकाश कृष्ण कीर्तन जय भक्ति विलास विशुद्ध विद्यावधु जीवन रूप कृष्ण कीर्तन जय सिद्ध स्वरूप आनंद पायो निधि वर्धन कीर्ति कृष्ण कीर्तन जय प्लावन मूर्ति पदे पदे पीयूष स्वाद प्रदात कृष्ण कीर्तन जय प्रेम विधात भक्ति विनोद स्वात्मा स्नापन विधान कृष्ण कीर्तन जय प्रेम निदान भक्ति विनोद स्वात्मा स्नापन विधान कृष्ण कीर्तन जय प्रेम निदान हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Amish Prabhu. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Shri Shikshashtakam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Anybody else would like to read the translation? Okay, I will read it then today. So Lord Gauranga, whose complexion is golden and who is the deliverer of the fallen souls of Kali Yuga, sings as follows, overwhelmed with spiritual ecstasy. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It thoroughly cleanses the mirror of the heart. This chanting delights the soul. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It extinguishes the horrible forest fire of material existence. This chanting removes all material tribulations. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It appears like the moon in the heart and distributes its cooling moonlight, thus causing the white lotus of good fortune to bloom. This chanting is the pastime of devotion. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It is compared to a young bride, chaste and devoted to transcendental knowledge itself. This chanting is the highest perfection of life. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It is glorious as it causes the ocean of ecstatic bliss to swell and overflow. This chanting is an inundation of love of Godhead. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It gives one a taste of fully satisfying nectar at every step. This chanting is the bestower of ecstatic love of Godhead. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It bathes the soul of Bhakti Vinod. This chanting is a storehouse of love of God. Hare Krishna. So again, as we said, this our anchor is the first verse of Shikshashtakam. So very nicely, as we were saying, Mahaprabhu gave 8 verses and Bhaktivinoda Thakur has expanded one verse into eight glories. But yeah, when we read this Chetudarpana Mahajanam, there are 7 benefits, 7 effects that we get out of chanting of the holy name. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Chetodarpanamarjanam Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam. So Chetodarpanamarjanam, then Bhavad Maha Davagni Nirvapanam. It cleanses the dust of the mirror of the heart. It doses off the fire of material existence. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. It bestows the coolness of the benediction of the moonlight. Vidyavadu Jivanam, it is the epitome of the transcendental knowledge. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, it continuously increases the pleasure in our heart. Pratipadam, at every step. Purnamrita Swadanam, that helps us taste the nectar of the holy name. And Sarvatma Snapanam, it bathes our soul, just as Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning here. It bathes his soul with this love of God. So just by attaching ourselves to the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, attentively chanting and hearing, all of these beautiful results come upon us. So that is the mood of this prayer, and that is the mood of our reading as well, as we are continuing chapter 11 from teachings of Lord Kapiladev, where yesterday Kapiladev was teaching Mother Devahuti how she can progress on the path of spiritual realization, self-realization, by increasing her attachment to a sadhu, and the side effect of that or consequence of that will be automatic detachment to material attachments. So material sense enjoyment, material gratification will automatically reduce if we just increase our attachment to pure devotees of the Lord who are always glorifying the instructions and the glories of the Lord, the name, form, pastimes of the Lord. So that is the mood of pure devotees, and that is what Srila Prabhupada was teaching yesterday. And I was reflecting on this yesterday. At my work, we have this group called as ECO, different associate groups. So there is a group called ECO, which is basically stands for environmentally conscious outcomes, right? So they're talking about kind of a documentary where it's a documentary by Will Smith, From Pole to Pole. So he goes from Antarctica to Arctic, and in between everywhere, Sahara Desert, Himalayas, and every place. I only watched the first one, but so there, one thing fascinating that I heard as he was in Antarctica, and of course in Antarctica, as you know, very few people live because of the harshness of the weather. So as we're talking about attachment and detachment, there was this one scientist from Brazil. He has been there. He's like the lone person there, and probably one or two persons assisting him. That's it. So in the whole Antarctica, this is almost close to the South Pole in Antarctica. So this scientist from Brazil, he was talking about how he has been living there for 35 years, and it was just amazing that just by himself, without anybody around him, like his family. He did say he miss the while he enjoys his work, because the work that he's doing is helping the whole of humanity, but he certainly misses his family and his old mother, who's like 99 now, and he has 2 kids. But I was just amazed at how he has attached himself so much there that he has almost become detached to everything else, the whole world. And one thing that he mentioned was even more fascinating. He was saying that why this work is important, how it is helping the humanity, because he was saying that all the winds that blow, like everything that we do on this planet, everything, like all the fossil fuel that we burn and everything, ultimately it all becomes exhaust, right? And all that exhaust eventually goes to the South Pole, to Antarctica. And so what happens is all the gases that have emanated from Earth so far, from millions of years, everything is actually stored in Antarctica. How? It is stored in the ice. So the ice, because it's full of ice there, and over millions of years, the ice that has accumulated has the history of the whole of humankind. So he was saying that they can figure out the whole history of humankind, when the first fossil fuel was burned, like locomotives, when that happened, and when coal was burned, etc. So like the whole history of humanity is actually buried. Will Smith was saying, so initially he said, I only thought this is only ice that I was walking on, but now I realize that I'm actually walking on the history of humankind. So the whole, because the gases are actually stored as ice in the layers of ice that is there in Antarctica. So anyway, so I was just wondering that, how like this concept of attachment and detachment. So, everything, we think we just do things here and then we are detached, but actually all of that is somehow or other stored in the deep layers of the earth, in the ice in Antarctica. So the attachment of all that we have done is all there here. It's just attached in the ice. But anyway, so drawing a corollary, so Prabhupada is explaining that we have to be attached to sadhu. When we are attached to sadhu, then our detachment automatically happens to this material world. Okay, let's continue from here. This is the opinion of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 18.68 and 69. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhaktesh abhidhasyati bhaktim mai param kritva mam evaishyat ashamshayah na cha tasman manusyeshu kaschin me priya krittamaha bhavita na cha me tasmat anyah priya taro bhuvi. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. If we want to be quickly recognized by Krishna, we should become preachers. This is also the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is not that one should remain in India. Rather, one should travel all over the world to preach Krishna consciousness. The sadhu is Suhrit. He is the well-wisher of everyone. This does not mean that he is a well-wisher for an Indian nationalist or whatever. No, he is a well-wisher even of cats and dogs. A devotee even wishes to benefit cats and dogs by giving them prasada. Once, when devotees of Bengal were going to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a dog began to follow them, and the leader of the party, Shivananda Sen, was giving prasad to the dog. When they had to cross a river, the boatman would not take the dog, but Shivananda Sen paid him more money and said, "Please take this dog. He is a Vaishnava, for he has joined our company. How can we leave him behind?" Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself actually threw some of his food to the dog, and in this way the dog attained Vaikuntha. No, not only is a sadhu everyone's well-wisher, but he is not an enemy of anyone. He is also shanta, peaceful. These are the preliminary characteristics of a sadhu. He is also attached to no one but Krishna. Mai ananyena bhavena. These are the external and internal symptoms of a devotee. A devotee also respects the demigods because he knows their position in relation to Krishna. In Brahma Samhita 5.44, the goddess Durga is worshipped as the external energy or potency of Sri Krishna. Shrishti sthiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka chayeva yasya bhuvanani vibharti Durga echanurupamapi yasya cha cheshtate sa govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The external potency, Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit, spiritual potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. The goddess Durga is so powerful that she can create, maintain and annihilate. However, she cannot act independent of Krishna. She is like a shadow of Krishna. A sadhu knows that Prakriti, nature, is working under Krishna's direction. Similarly, a policeman knows that he is not working independently but under government orders. This knowledge is required in order that the policeman who has some power will not think that he has become God. No, God is not so cheap. God has multi-energies, and one of these energies is Durga. It is not that she is all and all, for there are many millions of Durgas, just as there are many millions of Shivas and millions of universes. Although there are millions of demigods, God is one. It is not that there are million gods. Of course, God can expand in millions of forms, but that is different. A devotee offers respects to the demigods as the assistants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not as the supreme power. One who does not know God as he is considers the demigods to be supreme. Such people are less intelligent. A devotee offers respects to all the demigods, but he knows that the Supreme Lord Krishna, that the Supreme Lord is Sri Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Actually, a sadhu, a Vaishnava, offers respects to everyone, and he is ready to give up relatives and everything else for Krishna's sake. A sadhu simply takes pleasure in hearing about Krishna and talking about him. There are many pastimes enacted by Krishna. He fights and kills demons, and he performs his pastimes with the gopis. He plays as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan and as king of Dwarka. There are many books about Krishna, Krishna Katha, and this Krishna consciousness movement has already published many of them. Apart from Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken by Krishna, we can read these other books. In this way, one can learn the art of becoming a sadhu. Simply by hearing about Krishna and speaking about him, we will be immediately relieved from the suffering of this material condition. As stated in this verse, Ta ete sadhava sadhvi sarvasanga vivarjitaha. These symptoms are visible when one no longer has material attachment. A sadhu does not think himself Hindu, Muslim, Christian, American, Indian or whatever. A sadhu simply thinks, I am the servant of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, I am not Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari or whatever. I am simply the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. One need only learn this process in order to render the best service to humanity. Hare Krishna. Still reminding me of that scientist. He's serving the humanity by being there alone. But Prabhupada is saying here, you just need to become the servant of the servant of the servant, and you can serve the whole humanity by that. Okay. Chapter 12. Association with the Supreme Lord through hearing. Text 25 and 26. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha तज्जोषणाद् अश्वपवर्गवर्तमनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति भक्त्या पुमाञ्जात विराग ऐन्द्रियाद् दृष्टश्रुतान्मद् रचनानुचिन्तया चित्तस्य यत्तो गृहणे योगयुक्तो यतिष्यतिर्योगमार्गैः. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Thus, consciously engaged in devotional service in the association of devotees, a person gains distaste for sense gratification, both in this world and in the next, by constantly thinking about the activities of the Lord. This process of Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of mystic power. When one is actually situated on that path of devotional service, he is able to control the mind. The process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot advance. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees, because without such association, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. Generally, people are convinced of the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth. Because they do not associate with devotees, they cannot understand that the Absolute Truth can be a person and have personal activities. This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the Absolute Truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anything impersonal. Service must be offered to a person. Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described. They think that these activities are fictional because spiritual life is not explained to them in the proper mood. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees, and by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path to liberation is open and he is freed. One who has firm faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes fixed, and his attraction for association with the Lord and the devotees increases. Association with devotees means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. In all the scriptures, people are encouraged to act in a pious way so that they can enjoy sense gratification not only in this life but also in the next. For example, one is promised promotion to the heavenly kingdom of higher planets by pious fruitive activities. But a devotee in the association of devotees prefers to contemplate the activities of the Lord, how he has created this universe, how he is maintaining it, how the creation dissolves, and how in the spiritual kingdom the Lord's pastimes are enacted. There are full literatures describing these activities, especially the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. The sincere devotee who associates with devotees gets the opportunity to hear and contemplate these subjects, and the result is that he feels distaste for so-called happiness in this or that world, in heaven or on other planets. The devotees are simply interested in being transferred to the personal association of the Lord. They are no longer attracted to the temporary so-called happiness. That is the position of one who is Yoga Yukta. One who is fixed in mystic power is not disturbed by the allurement of this world or that world. He is interested in spiritual understanding. This is very easily attained by the easiest process, Bhakti Yoga. Rujibir Yoga Margai. A very suitable word used here is Rijubihi, or very easy. There are different processes of Yoga Marga, attaining Yoga perfection. But this process, devotional service to the Lord, is the easiest. Not only is it the easiest process, but the result is sublime. Everyone therefore should try this process of Krishna consciousness and reach the highest perfection. Sat means existence and Asat means that which does not exist, that which is temporary. The material world is Asat, therefore the Vedas enjoin Asatoma Sadgamaya. Do not remain within this material world. Those who are interested in materialistic life are also called Asat. When asked about how a Vaishnava behaves, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Asat Sanga Tyag Ei Vaishnava Achar. A devotee first of all avoids the company of Asat, those who are materially interested. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22.87. We have established this Krishna consciousness movement in order to avoid Asat Sangha, association with those who are interested in material things. Because we are associating with Krishna, we do not wish to talk about anything but Krishna. Everyone is interested in this business or that, and we are exclusively interested in our Krishna consciousness business. Those who are Asat are very much attached to sense gratification, and the culmination of sense gratification is sex. In addition, Sri Sanatana Goswami in his Hari Bhakti Vilas recommends that one should not hear Bhagavad Gita, the Puranas, the Srimad Bhagavatam or any Harikatha from anyone who is not a Vaishnava in his actions. That means that we should not hear these Vedic literatures from the Mayavadis who actually do not accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can one not accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord and yet dare to speak on the Bhagavad Gita? We will never derive any benefit from listening to the commentaries of such people. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam should be heard only from the devotees. We can hear Bhagavad Gita from Mayavadis for hundreds of years and yet never understand Krishna. It is therefore forbidden for Vaishnavas to hear talks given by the Mayavadis. Harikatha talks about Sri Hari or Krishna, and Harikatha or talks about Sri Hari or Krishna are Amrita, nectar. If one hears them from the right source, he attains Amrita. So, Amritvaya Kalpate. Mrita means birth and death, and Amrita means the cessation of birth and death. Spiritual life means putting an end to birth, old age, disease and death. Getting Amrita or nectar means getting relief from birth and death, and that is the real aim of spiritual life. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 7.16 that spiritual life begins when one is pious. Okay, we'll pause here. We'll continue with the shloka tomorrow. Yes, so anybody would like to share any thoughts, reflections, anything from today's reading that comes to your mind? This is our opportunity to form our connection back to Krishna. So whatever we have read, we have learned, we have heard, we should try to connect the dots to what we have learned, what we have heard from Srila Prabhupada, from our acharyas. Anything anybody would like to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Thinking of connecting back when Prabhupada was telling that association causes so much of impact in our devotional life, and somebody who is in good association, but if falls into bad association, it can change. Association can have a lot of effect. So I was something which come to my mind from scriptures was this monkey in Balaram pastime. I'm just forgetting the name. Vividha Gorilla. Vividha, who was first. He was I guess in Ram's Sena. He was one of the Vanar who helped Ram getting Sita back. But when he fell into bad association, he was in Krishna Leela as Vividha Gorilla, or I think he was just the same Vanar in Krishna Leela when he, Balaram fought with him, and because he was making fun of Balaram and gopis. So that pastime just got fresh in my mind while we were reading that. Also, I'm forgetting names, but in Narkasur Leela also there is this king who is friend of Narkasur. He is actually the son of Bhumi Devi. I'm forgetting the name of that personality. He was also he was son of Bhumi Devi and Varahadev, but he got into bad association of Narkasur, and he was eventually killed by Krishna. So some references from our scripture which says how the bad company can affect us. Sorry about forgetting the names. Just wanted to. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Bhomasur, the person Bhomasur. Bhomasur got into it was Bhumi ka son, so Bhomasur. Then he got into bad association of Narkasur, and which led to its fall down. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes. Sur Vividha Gorilla. Yes, so association, that's why this, like Prabhupada is saying here, Asasanga Tyag, E Vaishnavirachar. So we should give up bad association, stay in the good association. As Prabhupada was saying, even in material society, we have so many societies, right? Societies of doctors, societies of engineers, societies of scientists, whatnot. So they all try to remain in their association so that they can always learn from each other and continue to grow. So similarly, as devotees, we should always seek association of pure Vaishnavas. And what better association we can get when we have the best association with Srila Prabhupada's books, and he himself is there personally, living eternally. Right? So that is our eternal consciousness we have to evolve. While eco is good, right, in this world, at least there are some people who are thinking about, because I was having that discussion with some of the, like again, these are groups, these are like-minded people, right? So at work, in that associate resource group, there are whatever, 100, 200 people in the whole company who are thinking about how we can keep our world a better place and how we pass it on to future generations. So living in an eco-friendly way, sustainable way, right? So this is good. This is good thinking. This is like, at least they're on the mode of goodness, sattva guna, right? But the best is to even transcend the modes, right? Not just aim for higher planets with piety, right? With sattva guna, but to transcend these modes. So it was nice. So anyway, so fun. When we were having that conversation, there were a lot of associates who were talking about how they want to change the world, and one lady was talking about how she doesn't like to see litter anywhere. So she says, when I would be walking in the park or in the beach, if I see something, I will just immediately pick it up. And my friends and my family members will just say, how gross you are, you just pick up. Doesn't matter how dirty that thing is, I just can't stand it. So it was nice. So then others were saying, yes, and some of them others were also doing like that. She was thinking she'll pass on that garbage picker to many of us, so we can all kind of be like a group who can do that. But again, the point is that, so while that is it says environmentally conscious, for us it is eternally conscious, right? We are eternally conscious. Anyway, so while talking those, and I was sharing my points, I told them about this concept of simple living and high thinking, and many of them were very, very fascinated by that. They said, "Oh, we will note down. We never heard about this." I said, "Yes, this is how we should live. We should live simply, simple living and high thinking." But unfortunately, today, our modern civilization is heading towards concept of simply living and hardly thinking, right? Or as Guru Maharaj also says, sometimes he'll swap the words. He'll say, instead of simple living, high thinking, we are doing high living and simple thinking, right? Or we are just simply living and hardly thinking. So, and now with AI, they were saying, the people, when we were having this conversation, they were saying, oh yeah, what do we think now with AI? People are exactly, that is what is happening, right? People are just simply living and hardly thinking because AI will do all the thinking for us. So anyway, so that was fun discussion yesterday. Okay, anybody else would like to say anything? All right, I don't see anybody else. Okay, so thank you so much for your kind association this morning. Tomorrow is Saturday, so we will be our first Saturday of the month, so we'll be continuing our series of 32 rounds of japa with Srila Prabhupada. So for those who are able to join, please join. Again, it's not about time. Whatever time works for everybody according to your time, place and circumstance, between 4 to 8 a.m. Please feel free to join and take part of that association with Srila Prabhupada in the morning japa. So let's end here today with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Teachings of Lord Kapiladev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari
Hari Hari.
Hare
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji. Have a
Guru.
good day.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Great.